Hey, it's your girl Nancy Red, and this is season 3 of Mompreneurs, where we celebrate beautiful Black entrepreneurs who are also amazing moms. Now, I'm chatting with my guests about how they're killing it simultaneously as business moguls and as mamas, and we're listening to their inspiring journeys and incredible advice. Now, many of us know our next guest as the musical mastermind behind the hit Banji, but Sharaya J is so much more than that. For starters, this incredible breast cancer survivor is now a mom, and she's also a celebrity choreographer, a producer with her own shingle, and a mentor for aspiring musicians, okay? Sharaya J Consulting is her newest opportunity for people to get to know a little bit more about her, about the industry, and make their dreams come true. So we are here to talk about the past, the present, and the future. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about today.
Did I do you justice with that intro?
Yes, you covered all the pieces from A to Z, so I'm really excited to really get down to the meat and potatoes of it. Yeah.
Because the pieces make a beautiful puzzle. And I laugh because now that we're, older, we've gone through so many different things, so many lives lived.
So many lives lived. That's fact. Yes.
And you look back at some of these opportunities and some of these things that make you the person you are. And what I love about what you're doing right now is you're just like, if I had known so much of what I know now, this journey.
Would have been so much easier. But also I have been very blessed to have some really amazing female in particular mentors that really are instrumental in helping me kind of navigate this journey. So, that's I always say having a mentor is the greatest gift you can get in this business, even in this life. So
Well, we have so much to talk about, but I also do mentorship, yes, but actually what you have too are sponsors, which that's one of the things that people are talking about now more. It's just not just someone who's like, I believe in you, you can do it. Be like, yeah, why don't you come and give face
yeah.
in this video?
Yeah, no, for sure. 1,000%. Because it is, like you said 5 seconds ago, that it is a puzzle especially when you're working with something like artist development. Like you really want to, it's going to take more than one thing to kind of get you to that level. You know what I mean? So all the players come in, all the pieces come together with one goal in mind, and that's to just help these aspiring artists reach their full potential.
I love it. And I love that's what you're doing now
Thank you.
because it's so hard. It's so difficult now more than ever. Understanding what's going on behind the scenes, what's going on, what people actually see. There's a lot of different pieces. But before we get too far into the business, let's
Okay.
get a little personal. I want to hear about who in your life puts the mom in mompreneurs. Who's in your household?
So right now it's myself, my baby, and my mom actually. My mom, me and her are like this. Like this, she of course is one of my earliest mentors. Like she poured so much into me without even having to say a lot. Just watching her, how she moves, her journey, her strength, her tenacity to keep going. Like even when things were rough, you know what I'm saying? And so right now it's me and her in the household and my baby because we live in New Jersey, but his dad and my partner live in Atlanta. And we were living in Atlanta initially, but to kind of jumpstart my consulting company, I needed to get back to just where I have a lot of relationships. You know, I'm originally from New Jersey, and I have built a lot of my career on the East Coast, in New York, in New Jersey. And so I kind of wanted to tap, when I thought about doing the consulting, I wanted to tap back into that market because it's where I started at. And so I wanted to kind of get in touch with those people that are in that area. And so I had the conversation with my partner, and he was just like, you know what, if that's what you need for yourself to brand, you know what I'm saying, reach another level in your career, I fully support you. And so we stay up there, but we come back and forth to Atlanta all the time. So I'm in Atlanta now. So we're just, I'm just kind of going back and forth. And my mom is just such a big help because she knows that being an entrepreneur takes so much ripping and running. You got to be outside, you got to shake hands, you got to make events, networking. So she is very helpful in that space for me in terms of just, I got the baby, you go do what you got to do. You know what I mean? So, and she's
Oh my
always
God, we
been that
all need a
support.
mama like that.
What? I'm telling you. And she's always been that one. Even before my baby came along, she just has been very supportive of my dreams and the things that I wanted to put into the universe. So shout out to
Who did your
mom.
mom? Shout out to your mama because she has been like the original hype woman. Because she's
Yes.
not just hyping you, she's been hyping her man all of these years. Your daddy, right? Talk to us
Yes.
about because this music is in your blood,
Correct. Yep. Yep. So my father was in a 90s hip hop group
which
called,
is the best time ever to be in a hip
come
hop
on,
group.
golden. It's
If
the golden era. So he was in a 90s hip hop group called Double X Posse. And they had a #1 record on Billboard for a long time. It was called Not I'm Not Gonna Be Able to Do It. So yeah, music had been innate. Like my household was that. My father was either he was writing music, performing music, or people were coming by and they were in the house doing ciphers, and it was just this musical home, like everywhere I turned. Because even my mom, although she wasn't an artist, she was a music head. So she was always playing, on those weekends when your mom is cleaning and everybody's in the house, and she's playing Sam Cooke and Denise Williams, Aretha Franklin, all these records that some of them before her time, but I'm also, soaking up all this culture from just music that was way before my time. And then also, in collaboration with my dad, he was in the music business. So right away, I was just in this world of music right from the start.
and so many people say, okay, I saw how the sausage was made. I want no part of it. But not you. You knew the nitty gritty, the difficulty.
Mm,
You knew the strife, the struggle, and the success. And
that,
yet you still said, this is my path.
yep. And that's how I kind of knew always that it was a calling, because I never sought out to do it. I just did what came naturally to me, and dance actually was something that just took me, like I was just in love with dance since a little girl. And the beauty of, I think, dance and something like even writing and storytelling is that this is still a medium for you to tell a story, but it's just with your body, and opposed to actually writing lyrics. And so I always had a real affinity for dance, and it was my first breakthrough into the industry, like a dancer, as a dancer and a choreographer. That was like my first breakthrough into the music world.
And when we think of little girls, we sometimes think, oh, must ballet, tap. But you were in ball culture from a very early age. Like,
Very early.
how old were you when you
12,
were
12 years old. Definitely sneaking to balls with my friends who were older than me, and my mom had no idea about what was going on in terms of the culture, the lifestyle that I was kind of like going and enthralled by, really, because there was so much creativity in the ballroom scene. See, now it's a little more, people are more in tune now than back then. So this was
back then? There
really
were no YouTube videos upon which to build your repertoire of dances. It was just in here.
what in here and in here, and
Oh,
everything was word of mouth. So the reality is, if you were buzzing in that scene or even in the music scene at that time, it was because you was working hard. You was in them streets. You was going to the events where they had, where they promoted creativity and dance and fashion. And so you was really putting in that work. This wasn't something that you was just gonna get up one day, like you said, and run to YouTube and say, hey, this is something, oh, I love this, and then now you can be in it. But you had to really be a part of it and in the mix. So I was. Yes.
see, I think young you, another hustle you should consider is writing YA novel. I would love to know what is it like to be a little 12-year-old
Mm.
in the culture
Yep.
and nurtured
And nurtured.
by some of the most iconic people in our industry.
Facts. And I was in the House of Libasia, which was on record like the first house, and so I had so many, we had fathers and our mothers of the house, and they really embraced me because I was one of the youngest in the house. And and a lot of balls happened at 12 o'clock at night, and and I was going to spend the night at my friend's house, but then we was sneaking out some balls, and my mom didn't know till later. But knowing the type of mom that I had, she wasn't a stage mom, but she was very supportive. So if I kind of kicked it to her like, "Ma, this is that," she probably would have came to and would have been right with it, because she knows
She would
that
have
I
just
was
been there. She would have just been there Watch it.
Look, cheering me on, trying to help me get my tens, you know.
Well, and so at some point she had to know because you kind of started making a name for yourself and making moves. Like, at what point did this go from I'm 12 years old, sneaking out from a sleepover to go to be part of ball culture to I am actually being hired to
Right.
participate?
So my mom was it was funny, she always tells stories about how back in the day she was like, I never had to put Sharaya in anything because I would literally come outside and say, hey ma, I need a white t-shirt, I need this and that and third because I have a performance at 12, and she would just take me to go get the things and we would just go do it. She trusted me, like even as a young age, because she knew I just loved the creativity, that world, and she always says since I was a little girl, she knew I would be a star in this, you know, in this realm of music, and so since it was fashion shows, free talent shows, like cotillions, pageants. I also was in the Hal Jackson's Talented Teens pageant back in the day, and a lot of these women who were my directors, and these two were strong female mentors that just poured into me being a young woman, things that you can take as you grow into a woman, you know what I mean? And so she always supported me there. My first break into the industry, I was in college, and then I started to realize, man, like I could get paid for going up here and just dancing, the things that I do at home for free all day. And so Claire Talent Group is actually their first time coming to New York City as an agency. And I was in college at the time, and I saw the auditions, and I went right over to New York and auditioned. And the funny thing was, I actually got signed that audition
That's
first.
not funny. That was talent.
Yeah, I think I was 19. I think I was 19. I might have been 18 when I signed to Clear Talent Group. But then I was officially in with an agency. So once you get with an agency, it's a little easier to find the auditions that are happening, you know, because they are scouting them out for you, and then they're calling you, hey, I got this audition for this, that, and the third. Show up at this time. This is the kind of look they want. And I would just wait for those calls. And when my agency thought it was something for me, I would just go to these auditions, and then gradually, then I started to book these auditions, and then it started to become, you don't have to audition. This and this choreographer wants you for this gig, so I would just go and show up, and then so then that kind of, I think, let them know, oh, like she's serious about this, because then I was like, oh mom, I'm in the new Dream video, or I just got booked with Ciara, or I'm on the AMAs this weekend or something like that. And so that just became like, you know, my first break into the industry, and kind of just meeting different stars and being able to just see what that world was personally, you know.
And how did we go from supporting other people's careers with your talent to you becoming someone that they thought could do their own thing?
So I always been a writer. I love short stories. So I used to just write so many of them poems, and writing had always just been a natural thing for me too. And my dad was a writer, and so I would watch him just go. He used to call the bathroom his office, because the bathroom has the best acoustics in the house, and so he would go in there and he would write all night right in there. And then when I wake up for school in the morning, he would just be coming out of the bathroom. And I think that was kind of like my first nudge to work ethic. Like I just saw him really, really go hard. And
Wait a second. I need to know, did he have a little desk in there? Would he just sit on the
he
potty?
would bring, yeah, he would bring the hamper. He would bring the hamper, set the radio up, play his instrumentals all night, and he would be in there nonstop writing for hours. I mean, he would go in there when we would be going to sleep, and when I wake up for school the next morning, he'd be coming out. And
I love
so,
that.
yeah, and so I still to this day, I use the bathroom because it just takes me back to that early memory. And he's right, it does have the best acoustics in the house. But yeah, in terms of, I'm sorry, I had got a little bit. I know you
No,
asked
you're great. And
this.
so you were a writer. You saw you were a writer. You saw your father's work ethic. You
Yes,
were doing all this dancing for other people. At
yes,
what point did you get to become the person writing, performing as you?
right. Okay, so I was doing right. I was dancing and choreographing for a lot of artists, and at some point I realized that the dance kind of it started to become like a ceiling a little bit for me because I just had all these other creative ideas. And I remember I was at the top of my dance career, and I was really one of the girls really booking on the East Coast and bi-coastal West Coast. And I remember walking into my agent one day and I said, hey, this has been amazing, but I need something more. Like, I need to focus on something more. And I always knew, I kind of used my heart as a compass, because if I didn't feel like, as passionate to do something anymore, I knew, okay, I gotta switch something up. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. And I walked into the agency and I said, I think I'm gonna start focusing on my artistry, like my art, working on my writing, working on my lyricism, like. And they were like, Sharaya, you're bugging, like you're one of the best girls out here, you're making money, like what is this whole spiel? But like I said, my heart was calling for something else, something bigger. And as soon as I had that notion, I got invited to this party, and the wild part is I didn't even know until I got there that Missy Elliot, it was her party. And see, Missy Elliot had always been a huge fan of the dance culture. And so we loved her the same way because she was one of those artists who showed love to the dancers, you know what I mean? And so we always appreciated that about her. But got to the party, as dancers do, we all get in the middle, we form the circle, and everybody hops in, do their little 8 counts and whatever. But after I got in the circle, I remember her stopping the music and said, wait a minute, you an artist? And I was like, well, I am an artist. I haven't really, and then I kind of just broke it down to her. I've been dancing all this time, but I am trying to, evolve as an artist at this space. And something, I guess, about me and that moment and her, she was like, man, she was like, you got star quality. She was like, I would love to take you under my wing and see what we come up with. And I was just like, what? Like, it happened. So like the moment I decided that that's what I was going to do, transition, then it was like the creator sent me an amazing mentor for this. And not just any old mentor. I'm talking about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame mentor. And so I was just like, of course I jumped at the opportunity, and then we jumped into this mentor and mentee relationship. And she told me from the beginning, look, I don't know if this is going to happen for you today, tomorrow, 2 years, but the key is we're going to jump in here. We're going to work hard. I'm going to teach you the ropes of this thing. And I expect for you to give it all you got. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So she kind of took me in her wing, and Missy kind of ran this, well, we used to call it a camp, but she didn't call it a camp. She was just doing naturally what she did. Because she called in a couple artists. It wasn't just me. It was like, I was the only female rapper that she wanted to come in with. But we got different producers, different writers, and we all gathered in
It
this
was like
house.
a reality show before reality shows.
Correct, 1,000%. Because we all got together in the house, and all we did all day was eat, sleep, and breathe music. Missy was so hardcore with it that she would even be like, I don't like no television, nothing from the outside to kind of keep us from being focused on our creativity. And she was really what I like to call one of the mentors that pushes you, because you need people like that sometimes. Sometimes they see things in you that you might not wholeheartedly see within yourself sometimes. And people who have that vision, they are set in your life to kind of push you to your potential. And that's exactly what she did for us. She made us work on our writing, on our performing. She would wake us up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, let me see what y'all got. And we would have to get fully dressed and be ready to perform on the spot. But I realized that she was grooming us to just be these really untouchable performers and creative artists. Yeah.
What a blessing and an unusual experience that no one could have because her work ethic was a lot like your dad's, right? She had
What?
y'all up at 4 o'clock in the morning. There was no lazing about this house. This
No.
was a work
Definitely
house.
no lazing about. And you know what? Also, she had, at this time, she already had Grammys. She had #1 hits. She was who she was. And she still worked the same, like still worked hard. Like she never got any of those things. So to us, it's given, okay, she has all this and still working that. We don't have any of those things. So it's given, okay, you guys have to really pull up and work, because she set the example on the type of work ethic we were going to have in that house. And we did. And we all showed up to that. You know what I mean? To that to set that bar. Yeah.
I love that. So when we're looking at these experiences that you had that set you on the path for understanding from a very early age what you have to do to succeed, right? Like
Right.
it doesn't just happen.
Right.
How do you bring that into your current consulting? Because that's one of the great things about what you're doing now. Now that you're a mom, now that you are or who you are with these things behind your belt, you're trying to be someone's Missy.
Yeah. 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 In essence. And it's so strange because I wasn't sure that it wasn't something that I planned necessarily. But as after I did like this four and people just saw my art at that level, I got a lot of people reaching out to me. Hey, can you manage me? Can you manage me? Do you think you can manage me? But I always knew managing wasn't really my forte. That is a special job for a special person. I'm not gonna hold you, and you know what I mean. But I always knew right away that I didn't want to manage. I didn't want to be a manager. And so as I was evolving, but what I did realize was all the processes that we went through, that we learned. I liked that part about the creative process. I liked being able to look at somebody from scratch and say, maybe okay, you're good at this, that, and that. Maybe we can pour into that, or maybe we can rearrange your look, and you know what I mean? Like this naturally was something that I would do. And so, one day I got a call from an artist, a team of an artist. Her team hit me up in the DM, and I went to go look at the stuff. And she asked, "Hey, could you come on as a manager?" And I was like, "Well, that's not really something I'm interested in." But I just got finished rapping the reality show Deb's House. And when I wrapped it, when Deb called me on that show to be a mentor, that was kind of the space where I said, "Oh," like I had an aha moment, like this is this is for me, because it was easy. I naturally went in there in that space, and I had all this experience that I could share with the girls, and all these gems that I had gained along my journey that I could share and pour into the girls. And then after I had that experience with the girls, they were just so like, "Sharaya, you changed our life. Thank you so much." Then I'm like, okay, well, this is it. Maybe this leans into what I want to do next. And when that artist called me, I kind of said, "Hey, I don't want to be a manager, but I do have an idea of what it takes to make somebody a superstar in their right. You know what I mean? Their best version of themselves. So maybe I can try it here." And they were down and they were game. And that was like my first client, you know what I mean? Under the Sharaya J Consulting umbrella. And it just was effortless. It was easy. You know what I mean? I know a lot of times I like to tell my clients and anybody that I work with, like, flow, be water. You know what I mean? So when something is, when the universe is conspiring to help you do things and you're flowing, it's just easy, then something's right about that. Like there's some alignment there. And so I kind of just went with that. And, you know, and then here we are today. You know what I mean? I'm doing exactly what I think I'm supposed to be doing, which I like to call purpose work, because mentors poured into me and gave me these jewels, didn't gatekeep with me. So I feel like now that's naturally the next step I have to take with the upcoming artists.
It's the perfect time in your life for it.
What? It's so perfect. It's so perfect. That's why I said it just seems so right. And as I keep evolving in this space, I'm like, wow, everything just lined up, you know, the way it's supposed to be. So I'm excited, and it also gave me like this new, you know, every time you kind of reinvent yourself, or you get like this burst of like new transformative energy, and so I'm like really, I'm in it to win it.
You're in it to win it, and you're in it to help other people win, right? And one of the
Exactly.
things that you talk about in your consultancy, because like music and money, they both start with M, but the struggle is real.
The struggle is real, right? That last said it all. Facts. No, it's true. It's true. And I think,
But you have to understand how to make money. That much of your journey has likely been spent
whew,
figuring out where the bag is.
what? A whole lot of it. Because even back then, what, you know how much free stuff, free things I've done on the come up, and even being in the bit, like being in it. And back in the day, I think that artists would just, they were in a position, the industry was different anyway. So, but artists were more in a position to just be creative. and that was their gig. You know what I mean? But now, as things have evolved and changed, you not only have to be artistic and creative, but you have to know your business, or you have to be inclined to be able to at least have a conversation about it. And so that's just like another part that is necessary, especially if you're trying to be an artist or an entrepreneur. The reality is you're being an artist and an entrepreneur right from the gate, like when you're coming in this business. So yeah, it's a nice thing to have, I think, people or mentors come in and be able to lay that out for you right at the gate. You know what I mean? Opposed to coming in for a lot of years focused on your creativity, and then you have to kind of play catch up and learn that part.
Well, especially because the passion, especially when you're first starting out, you will do anything, and I and I do mean anything.
No, yeah.
You
Say
know,
that.
and so, and I think one of the good things about your consultancy is that you're not mincing words from the get-go. You're looking at this from all degrees. And one thing you do talk about is explaining how musicians can make money in their sleep,
Oh
because
yeah.
a lot of times people are just, they're hoping, okay, I'm going to build it and the music and the money will come, but that has to be part of this foundation from the beginning. It's like investing in retirement. You start 30 years early and you're okay. You know, but you
Yes.
can't, you have to start from the beginning being money focused, which can be annoying with creativity, but it can
What?
actually heighten it.
What? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to do anything but create. That's what we want to do. And at the end of the day, and the funny thing is, and even in my
Because that's why
journey,
you're a musician and you're not a manager. Like you don't
exactly
want, that's
what
not
that was gonna
fun.
say. That's the whole gotcha right there. You're right. And even on my journey, like, you know, the idea of struggling artists, like that had been a real thing, but we didn't care because we wanted to do the art so bad. We would sleep on each other's couches, or we would spend, you know what I mean, sneak over to New York. Because I ain't gonna hold you, it was times when I was a young girl trying to get into the city. We ain't had no money to even get in the city. We was ducking under turnstiles and all that just to be able to go and be
See, they
creative.
weren't in cameras.
And
You
it
won't
was
go to jail. See, this is the thing.
that part.
Like, you can't
And
even call this new generation lazy. There's
right,
CCTV. Like,
honey, we was doing whatever it took to you know to really get our opportunities, and that was a part that I had to even learn in my growing as an artist. Like, okay, boom, the art is that, but it is called the music business. So there is a whole part of it that's business, that, and I was able to say, okay, boom, let me take time and learn this part, so that now when we step into the Sharaya J consulting space, now I know this part is covered and this part is covered. So then right from the door, we can give you that whole, you know, kit and caboodle right out the door.
because nothing will get you mindset straight more than having a kid. Being a
What?
mompreneur, because like daycare does not care.
No, they don't. No, no.
Diapers
Daycare
do
does
not
not
care.
care.
So how has being a mom with your wonderful 1 year old, how has that kind of put the pedal to the metal with you and your new endeavors?
Man, that gave me a new breath of life. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know. It was so strange too, because I didn't know that I was going to even be a mom, because I battled cancer. And when I went through my chemos and after all my treatments and everything, the doctor suggested, oh, you probably won't have kids, because I was also older. And I remember them even suggesting that I get a hysterectomy. And that just seemed a little too, like, I didn't want to step in that space and make a decision like that just too prematurely. It just didn't feel right at the time when they suggested it. So of course, fast forward to years later, I get pregnant and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, it's actually, you know, the tea. And wow, and the journey, first of all, which I really didn't share with a lot of people. I'm actually, this might be one of the first conversations I'm even having where I'm just going to speak on it, because the journey was so intense, because my cancer was estrogen positive, my initially, right? And so that means that I was producing a lot of estrogen, making my cells, you know, just get all wacky. And so when I got pregnant, it sparked a reoccurrence, because, you know, once you get pregnant, your hormones are all over the place. They're like up, down, this, that, and third. So it sparked a reoccurrence. When I went to the doctor, they came in there. My team of doctors said, "Okay, Sharaya, we found a reoccurrence of the cancer because since you got pregnant, the baby, and da da da. So our suggestion is that you terminate the pregnancy because as he grows and he gets to that space, you're going to decline because." He's taking up. Babies take up so much of yourself anyway when you're having this on a normal basis. So now, the cancer reoccurring and him at the same time, they were like, "Oh man, we want to put your health first, so we want to suggest that you terminate the pregnancy." And I remember looking at the doctors and I said, "Well, you know what? I hear what y'all saying, but I need a few days to talk this over with God." And I remember one of the doctors even looked at another doctor like, talk this over with God, like type of energy. And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to take a few days and talk this over with God." And I did. And then I came back to the doctors all together and I said, "Hey, you know what? I decided that I am going to move forward with the pregnancy. So where do we go from here?" Because in my mind, in my thinking, I didn't think that the creator would bless me with something like that if it wasn't a thing that I could overcome. And so we decided to go in. The doctors went back to the drawing board. They had created this whole plan for me. I literally had to start getting chemotherapy 3rd month in my pregnancy.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, wait, is this even a thing? Like, we know the things that chemo does to the normal body. Like, I have a seed that I'm trying to grow. Like, is this going to affect him? Like, I had all these questions. We did all this research, and they pretty much got down to it and said, if we do this the right way, it can become successful at the end. So I had to start chemotherapy my 3rd month in, and I got treatments all the way up until he was born April 3rd, and my last chemo was March 31st. The whole 9 yards. Lost all my hair again, had all the regular things with the chemo, and afterwards, they were only concerned about maybe he would come a little small because of the type of medicine, all the things that I was going through. But man, when I tell you, I got up every day, I meditated, I spoke life into my stomach. I just was so wrapped into pouring life into my baby, even though my own life was at risk in the process. He was born April 3rd, 100%, nothing wrong with him. Also, by the time April 3rd came, my chemos were done and I had went back into remission. And I was just like, wow, like what a wild journey. And the idea of just fighting for your life and simultaneously creating new life, it really opened up a part of my brain, like wow, like the things that we are capable of doing, the things that you can do when you set your mind to it, and also the things that you can do when you trust God and the universe to just have your back, you know what I mean? And so,
You
this,
are absolutely incredible, and that is absolutely incredible. And it's just an example of like what if you listen to the doctor? And
right,
so often in your life, you have trusted in your gut
yes,
and you have said, like, no, I don't want to show more skin. I don't care what label
yep,
execs tell me. I don't want to get a weave. I don't
yep,
want to do any of that stuff. I want to be me. And it actually this motherhood journey for you is very much in the spirit of the acronym that you came up for Banji. Because a lot of people think of Banji as just a slang word, right?
right,
They're just like, oh, it just means ghetto. But
right.
actually, you
Mm-hmm.
have another meaning for
Yep.
Banji that's very appropriate for right now, which
Yep.
is
Be authentic. Never jeopardize your individuality. One, authenticity is like one of the I like to hold authenticity like up here, you know what I mean, in the list of things. And then individuality, like that is a key. There's so many followers. Like I always encourage people to be their own type of leaders, or you know what I mean, or if you don't have to go right because everybody's going left. And then the idea of just not being unapologetic about it. You know what I mean? Trusting yourself, trusting your gut, and Banji, yeah, it's just a beautiful movement. And fast forward, we really became a staple. Look, in the Urban Dictionary, they have Banji as an acronym that Sharaya J and the Banji movement created, and it promotes something I think positive that was said to have a for lack of a better, like negative connotation. But
Well, that's what you're doing. And that's what you're doing with everything. You know, you are a person who has a positive mindset. You
yes,
make things happen. You
yes,
are a forward-thinking individual. And it's so great that you are sharing this with a new generation of people
yeah,
because it will be such a shame if all the life lessons that you have learned over the years just didn't perpetuate.
correct, correct. And that's just my and having my seed also made me say, okay, now what are we going to do next? Because now it just gives you this fire, puts this fire underneath you. Because most of my life I've had to just worry about what does Sharaya J want? But now having my baby, it's like I'm always thinking about him first, or you know what I mean, or I am making decisions like, you know what, I I do have to go fly to New Jersey just until I build this business, and we have to be there for a while, making sacrifices. You know what I mean? Just keeping him at the forefront of it all.
I love this. And speaking of the sacrifices that you're making, leaving your partner in Atlanta so you and your baby and your amazing hype mom
Yeah.
can get Sharaya J consulting off the ground. I can't let you leave without asking you my favorite segment, which is called Mompreneurs Manifestation, where I ask all of our guests what you're trying to make happen and how we can help to bring it into the universe for you.
Aw, well, yeah, I think right at the top of my list is Sharaya J Consulting. I definitely want to build this brand and really get it started, because I know a lot of people in our business too, and I've had a few people say, yeah, artist development is a lost art, and I hear that conversation, but I feel like it's something that was taken out of our process of becoming a really great artist. That's necessary. You know what I mean? Like, artists, we go through all these moments where we're learning ourselves. We have to find our voice. Where you know what I mean? It's a process, and it's just a great thing to have someone in there helping you along that journey, and you know what I mean, and just giving you that guidance that can definitely make your road easier. You know what I mean? And so I love that about that. So, and then right now I'm actually in the Entrepreneurs of Impact competition. And just yesterday, Sharaya J Consulting moved to the top 15. And so I'm so excited. Yes, I just big love to all my supporters, because they've really been showing up and voting for us. And the more votes, we're still in it. So look, so if you guys have any moment to sign on and give us some votes, we would totally appreciate it, because this has actually been really exciting too. People have been pouring out, like really giving us good affirmations to help that, in hopes that we can win this thing. So that would
And
be
all the
great.
information on how to do it is on your socials, right? Tell us
Correct.
where everyone can find you and your consulting and everything so they can get out and vote.
Sure. So my personal page is at Banjiraya, Banjiraya. And on there we do have in my link, and also every day in my stories, I'm posting a link to be able to vote. And also Sharaya J _ consulting's page. You can find the links over there too. So we're just like really pushing through and really making it work. And I'm also excited, sidebar, about I actually just created a new foundation, Sharaya J Foundation, that actually is specifically for families and individuals impacted by cancer. You know what I mean? Because I just had that personal, I've gone through that journey on all levels: the insurance, the recovery, the remission, the surgeries, the mindset. And so I definitely want to kind of set in the future, giving back in that space too. So yeah, I got some things going that I'm really feels like I said before, purpose work, and we can really make a change with these things, and that is definitely has always been like something that's important to me.
Well, I am so glad that you are using your talents in these ways. And thank you so much for opening up and sharing your incredible story. I knew that you had overcome breast cancer the first time, but
Yeah,
we had no idea
I know.
about what you went through while pregnant.
While pregnant, and my mom was just saying, "Wow!" Like, my mom just kept looking at me saying, "Wow," and I was like, "Man, this was." But I was very thankful for my family. They stood there behind me, and then when I told them too, "Hey, I just want to kind of," because I know my first time was really public, but this time was just more of like an incubation. Like, I wanted to keep my family. They kind of got around me supported me, and we came out on the other side 100% successful. So, you know
Like
the
you just
vibe.
popped out with your greatest of hits.
Yeah.
Not
That's
only
so,
do I got a baby, I beat cancer twice. What?
look.
Like,
And that was so funny. That just reminds me, because a good friend of mine, while I was going through it, I was just like, man, like, because I was so focused on healing.
of
And,
course.
and
Understandable.
I was like, I can't wait to just be creating again. Like, I just miss creating, because I kind of put it to the side so I could just, be hardcore focused. And she had to tell me, she said, sis, you are creating the best project of your life right now. What are you talking about? And then that really helped me put into perspective like what was going on. And yeah, so that's how I treat my baby, my seed, my greatest gift, my best masterpiece, for sure.
Love it. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. What a cool conversation. You made it very easy. I love conversations like that.
Well, I mean, how could I not? We could talk for hours. I have
I
so
know.
many more questions. But you're just going to have to share those. If you want those, you can always book a session.
Look, that part.
So links to how you can find out more will be on our website. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Mompreneurs. As a reminder, a brand new episode goes live every Monday on Urban One Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit urban1podcast.com to learn more. That's urban1podcast.com. Mompreneurs is brought to you by the Urban One Podcast Network and MadameNoire. Created, produced, and hosted by me, Nancy Red. Executive produced by Allison McGovna and Tanya Hoffler-Moore. Produced and edited by Jiminique Miller.